Hi, this is Alan Robinette, Community Librarian for Saline County Library, and this is Saline County Speaks, where we're talking to people who make a difference in Saline County, and today we've made a road trip. We have traveled down Highway 70 to get to the Garland County Library, where I am here with Garland County Library Director Adam Webb.
Hello.
And Saline County Library Director Patty Hector.
Hi.
And we're going to be talking today about some of the things that you may have been reading about in the paper or just hearing about on the by and by, that there's a potential merger in the works. And I'm excited to talk to both of you. Thank you for being here.
Glad to be here.
So, when did this idea first start to take shape?
It's been years now.
Yeah, Patty and I have kicked around this idea for a long time. My predecessor, John Wells, said that it was one of the things he wished he'd done during his tenure here. But I don't know if there was a specific date where we started chatting about this or not.
Yeah, I don't remember a date, but it has been more than 3 years probably.
Yeah.
Well, it seems like a natural fit, but for those who maybe aren't in library land, what was the impetus behind it? What makes this a natural fit for as far as a merger?
One thing is just the geography of it. We have a shared population in Hot Springs Village. It's one of the largest areas in the state that isn't being served by one public library, and we never really felt like it was fair for either one of us to bear the burden of that entire population up there. So we started talking about it in those terms, and then, of course, all of these other benefits started to reveal themselves throughout this discussion as far as money saving and positions that we have that Saline County doesn't, and positions that Saline County has that we don't have. And it was just like, I don't know, magic, I guess.
We were twins, and we thought we need to be co-joined.
Yes.
And it triangulates with Mid-Arc. When we joined Mid-Arc, we were like, Garland needs to be in this too, because we're all like 20 miles apart.
Okay, and Mid-Arc comprises of which libraries?
Malvern, which is in Hot Spring County, Sheridan, which is in Grant County, and then Cleveland County and Dallas County.
Okay. And how are those libraries going to be affected by this merger then?
So they are a region, we are a region under the Arkansas State Library's rules, but we can be partners with anyone we want. I mean, libraries partner and form consortia all the time. So we will have to officially back out, but then we will just rejoin in a different way. So,
okay.
Yeah, so we'll still all be
a super group.
Mid-Arc, yeah. Mega library.
Right. And then I'm glad you brought up the village, because I think it's long been known that they're, in many ways, not just in library land, but in a lot of ways, they're a forgotten little corner of Garland and Saline County, and they have been underserved by libraries. You have an exciting development up there.
Absolutely. We've been looking at putting a branch library up there for a few years now. We have some architectural renderings on that. We just have to find the money for it now.
Okay.
We were hoping that we would get some funding through the state's Coronavirus Capital Projects Fund, but that money is all going towards broadband now, so we're kind of looking for the right avenue for paying for that project. And a big part of making that a reality is this merger with Saline County, because Garland County is the biggest standalone library system in the state. We're not regionalized with anybody. We're not merged with anybody. So everything that we pay for is on us. There's no cost savings through sharing. There's no consortial agreements. So merging with Saline is going to save us a lot of money, and then that's going to make it a lot more feasible to open a second location using the funding that we currently have.
Okay. And now, originally, this merger was going to take place on or about January 1st. Mm-hmm. There have been some things that got in the way of that. What have been some of the pitfalls and some of the hurdles that you've had to overcome? And is there now a kind of a new target date?
There is one singular thing that is holding all of this up. Both Garland County and Saline County are members of the Arkansas Public Employee Retirement System. And this new type of library that we're looking to create is not an eligible public employer under the Arkansas Public Employee Retirement System. So they have to make an exception in the law, or they have to change the law, which we're working on with one of our local reps right now, to change the language to allow that to happen. And that's really the only big hurdle at this point, is making sure that that change gets enacted where we can all stay in our happy state retirement plan and move forward with the rest of the nuts and bolts of this.
Okay. Now, is that the last of many hurdles that have been over the past few years, or is this something that has gone fairly smoothly?
From my side, it's gone fairly smoothly. I can't talk to...
I mean, we still have to take it to the quorum court. I have to do all the paperwork of getting out of mid-arc, which gets approved by the quorum court. And then I have to go back and I have to go to the quorum court and I have to get them to sign on to the merger. But it's nothing that we've tried to do yet because we don't have the actual legal entity for them to vote on.
Okay. Is there anything, this is speculative, but is there anything that they would find objectionable? I mean, this seems like a win-win.
Not from Garland County's standpoint. I mean, I have a good working relationship with our county judge and with our quorum court, albeit we do have a new quorum court, which was just sworn in yesterday, or they had their first meeting yesterday, rather. And so I don't know how some of the newer members of the court feel, but ultimately we haven't really had much of a relationship with our county anyway. The library's always been semi-autonomous. We're run by an administrative board, so we don't have a lot of quorum court oversight anyway. I have to go to them whenever I need new positions created and to appropriate the funds for our budget every year, but that's really about it. They don't do our maintenance, they don't cut our lawn, they don't fix my roof. We pay for some services from our county, but that's really about it. So from their standpoint, I can't really find a reason for them to object to it. And the few that I have talked to understand what we're trying to do and are in favor of it.
Has your experience been similar with Saline County?
Yeah, we're very separate. We do have a new county judge, but I've talked to him, and he's come to the library. He's come to our board meeting, so we really feel like he understands the situation. And most of the quorum court members I've talked to have been supportive, especially Keith Keck, who is the member that's from Hot Springs Village.
Oh, I bet.
Yeah, he can see a real benefit for his area.
Sure, absolutely. So, and now, of course, the village does have a library. The Coronado Center has there been any talk about including them, not in the consortium, but in any way including them as a library partner?
We've talked with the folks at the Coronado Center, both of us individually, and they've both had the same request, which is, could you please take over the Coronado Center Library? Coronado it's an interesting type of library because you don't really see them anymore. They're a subscription library. They're not funded in any way, shape, or form through a tax levy or any sort of public funding. It's a private place just like a gym is or a Blockbuster Video. That's probably not the best analogy,
right?
But they are just this other type of thing. And Patty and I are under the assumption that the Coronado Center Library has its own place in Hot Springs Village that would really be kind of not overshadowed by a branch that we would put outside of the village gates, just because we'd still be almost 30 minutes away. I mean,
sure.
The village is a labyrinth of roads that...
Fun fact, there are 505 paved miles of road in Hot Springs Village.
Hot Springs Village.
It is actually larger in size than Hot Springs.
Doesn't surprise me.
It's a huge place for those who haven't really explored it.
It really is. And, as far as library metrics go, where a branch should be versus another location, we're still pretty far away from each other. So we would just have that point of access there on the Garland County side, which would still be a significant way away from the Coronado Center Library. Now, I don't know how much business we're going to cannibalize from them. I hope not very much, because that library is still very much a neighborhood community resource.
Yeah, people go there to interact with other people, to read the paper, to do puzzles. It's a hub, and it's social. And
there's certainly enough room for them to be able to do so regardless of what our library system chooses to do.
And we do programs there all the time.
Yes.
Yes. You've done them before.
I have. We've had some really successful programs at the Coronado Center.
Yeah.
So, what can an average patron of either Saline County or Garland County expect as far as if and when this merger goes through? What changes can they expect?
From my patron standpoints, they're going to have shorter wait times for material. So we'll have more stuff for them to borrow. And our users, they borrow physical materials at a higher rate than they do in Saline County. I don't know if that is a byproduct of the fact that Garland County has a higher poverty rate or lower average income, but our folks still check out a lot of DVDs, still check out a lot of print books, and all of a sudden they're going to be able to borrow from Benton and from Bryant, and then if we join back with Mid-Arc from Sheridan and all these other people. So for us, it's really just going to be benefit after benefit. There's not really a ton of drawbacks that we could figure out.
No, shared catalog delivery, that's just going to make it easier for everybody to find what they want. When we joined Mid-Arc, they're smaller libraries than us, and everybody thought, the little libraries are going to borrow all our stuff. Big Brother's
coming in. And
it's exactly the opposite. They have collections that we don't have, and so we have more patrons, and our patrons borrow from them all the time.
Yeah. Is there also going to be shared? Some people don't realize just how expensive electronic resources are, databases and those things. Is there going to be a shared cost to those two that's going to help with both libraries?
Absolutely. And I'm very happy about that because a lot of our vendors base their products on a number of people served. And usually those tiers are 0 to 100,000 and then 100 to 500,000 and then 500,000 up. So if we're both paying for consumer reports, we're both spending $7,000 a year on consumer reports. I'm making that number up, but that might actually be what consumer reports database costs.
Sure.
But if we join together, all of a sudden, that $7,000 is still just $7,000 for this library split in half. So and if you break that down through every vendor we have, all of a sudden there's all this extra money for us to be able to turn back into programming.
More materials. Whatever.
Yeah.
Sure. Yeah. Is this going to affect hours at all at either location? I know there has been talk about Sundays at Saline County Library, expanded hours at Garland County Library on Saturdays. Is that a possibility?
It is for me. All that's on the table. And Patty and I have approached this with this best of both mentality. So looking at what Saline does better and us trying to adopt those rules. And then whatever we do that's a little better than Saline, trying to adopt that as well. So I know we're only open half days on Saturday and Sunday, and you're open a full day on Saturday and no hours on Sunday. So that's definitely on the table for me. I want to expand hours out anyway, but I can't really do that without hiring more staff and all the things that are associated with that, and I can't really do that without finding some cost savings somewhere else. So really a lot of this hinges on this happening.
Right. And then in the circular fashion, that all comes to play where you're spending less money on resources, less money on electronic resources, more shared expenses allows you, the staff, to be able to expand in areas where maybe you haven't before.
That's exactly right, yeah.
So, well, let's talk a little bit about 2022 and some of the great things that happened at each of our libraries then, and then maybe looking forward. Patty, why don't you go first? Some of the things that happened last year and maybe what Saline County Library is looking to do in this coming year.
Well, after the pandemic, things were really slowed down. We didn't have the visitors, we didn't have the materials going out, although our ebooks just went sky high.
Sure.
So this in 2022, we started seeing people coming back in. We had lots more program, lots more attendance. It's starting to feel like it was.
Like a library,
yes,
where people come in and
I missed the people. It
yes.
was really sad in there. I'm trying to think of anything specific. We had a great summer reading. We have a pretty new staff in your department, and so our adult programs have just blossomed since you guys started doing all the things you do. So it's been really great to see that.
Adam?
For us, it's been a year of finally getting to push the boat out a little bit. I took over as director here 3 months before the pandemic started.
Right.
And so the first couple of years were just slipping on ice and trying to stay on my feet. but 2022 felt like a return back to some semblance of normalcy around here. And it even allowed us to start getting ahead of things a little bit. So we got our remote lockers installed, and they're being used heavily.
I saw some of those at the Y.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The YMCA one is surprisingly heavily used. I thought, well, we're going to put this in here because we have a good partnership with the YMCA. It's fairly busy, and they have good hours, but I was like, I don't know how well it's going to work because it's indoors, and it's not going to have that 24-hour access, but people use it like crazy.
Good.
Yeah.
Good.
We got started on our community garden project across the way. We're getting a new roof, which we've needed for a long time. And
see, this feels like a brand new building to me, and I know it's not.
Yeah.
When was the Saline County Library built?
It was opened in '95.
See, that just doesn't seem like it could be true.
Yeah, it's almost 30 years ago now.
Yeah.
Yep.
Thanks for that.
Yeah. And the roof was original to the building. I actually ran into John Wells earlier, I think it was earlier this week, maybe it was late last week, but he said, "What are they doing to the roof?" I said, "We're tearing it off and putting a new one on." He goes, "It's brand new." It's 23 years old.
Perspective.
Yeah, and anytime there was a heavy rain, the binder was coming apart in those concrete roof tiles. So the parking lot was just awash in a sea of red, of our red roof that was slowly, rapidly,
and
every day eroding away.
Spoiler alert, moisture, books.
Not a good mix. You don't. That's day one in library school. They say keep water away from the books.
There you go. 101.
Yeah. But yeah, 2022 was a great year. Same kind of thing. We had a great summer reading program. Returned to some larger in-person programs. So our big Halloween program we had this year was a success. Ozark Highlands music project was a big success, and so we're just kind of building on that, getting people to come back.
And speaking of building, is it too early to speculate on when a branch might hit out near the village?
Yeah, it's TBD.
It is. Okay.
It's in my PowerPoint presentation that I show people. So
it's in the works.
Yeah, the cat's out of the bag that we want to do that. It's just finding the money and the resources to do it. Yeah.
Very good. Okay. Well, thanks both of you for speaking with us today. I appreciate it very much. We're looking forward to a fantastic 2023 and hopefully within the next few months a merger that's going to benefit everybody.
Fingers crossed.
All right. Thanks, Adam.
Thanks.
Thank you, Adam.
Appreciate it.
Thanks very much.